The heat hits you first as you sit watching your children nibble on dry bread, the crumbs falling to cracked earth beneath their feet. You glance out toward the green fields beyond your fence, tomato plants heavy with fruit destined for distant shores, not your table. For 3 days, this has been your family's meals: bread and water, while the farms around you thrive with produce. Farm workers report picking tomatoes under the blazing sun, their hands stained red, yet pockets empty come payday. Look at the children's tired faces, hungry and ashamed, as laughter echoes from a nearby farm where fruits are loaded onto boats. You hear the distant hum of machinery and trucks ferrying produce, knowing that your neighbor's crops ship out while your cupboards stay bare. The smell of ripe mangoes and bananas fills the air, a cruel reminder of what your children are missing. People say the government promises food security for every Jamaican family through development and assistance programs. Your neighbors nod, they've heard these promises whispered for years but still watch their children go hungry. Posters declare that agricultural growth will feed Jamaica's people, touting progress and support for farmers. Reports from agricultural programs show investments in farming infrastructure and export capacity. Statistics highlight rising exports of fruits and vegetables to international markets, bringing in hard currency. Yet farm workers report wages too low to afford the very produce they harvest month after month. Your community shares stories of children going to school hungry, their stomachs empty through long days. You hear neighbors' voices expressing frustration: "We export tomatoes to Miami, but my children eat bread and water." Some say food assistance programs are hard to access, inconsistent, or too small to fill a child's belly. You know the fields packed with produce, but your home's empty shelves tell a different story. Official promises paint a bright picture of national self-sufficiency in food production. Yet the man picking tomatoes nearby can't afford to bring any home, caught in a system favoring exports over locals. Your children go hungry while trucks loaded with fresh produce head to terminals for overseas shipping. Food insecurity and malnutrition linger in rural pockets despite surrounding agricultural wealth. Farmers report markets flooded with their export crops, leaving local vendors undersupplied or priced out. Your neighbors whisper of a paradox: Jamaica grows plenty, yet families eat less each year. Critics suggest the food distribution system prioritizes profits and export contracts above local well-being. Walking through your village, you see signs of struggle: the empty stomachs, the unkept fields once vibrant decades ago. The cycle persists: crops are planted, harvested, packed, shipped, while your children wait for scraps. Contributors report aid programs suffer from delays and bureaucracy, missing urgent community needs. Systemic barriers make it difficult to shift resources from export interests to local nutrition support. You hear farm workers saying their wages barely cover transport costs, let alone a nourishing meal. Health workers warn that child malnutrition rates remain troublingly high in farming communities. Local shops report that the cost of fresh produce climbs as exports drive up prices. Officials highlight export earnings as national economic triumphs, but many feel invisible in the statistics. The steady flow of produce leaves little for local distribution. Contributors say the system overlooks rural hunger. You recall the words of an elder: "Our land feeds others, but not our own." Farm workers report that investment focuses on improving export quality and quantity, not local availability. Policies prioritize contracts with overseas buyers, sometimes at the expense of Jamaica's food insecure. You watch produce leave on ships built for distant markets, while your table remains bare. The contradiction between agricultural wealth and hunger exposes cracks in resource distribution. Many argue that the system's focus on foreign markets causes local food access to falter. You feel the weight of invisibility as government programs and data seem far removed from your daily reality. Reports indicate that smallholder farmers struggle to compete with export-driven corporate farms. You sense a gap widening between policy rhetoric and the hunger in your own home. This failure paints a picture of a food system that leaks resources flowing outwards, not upwards. Farm workers report seeing the best produce sent away while locals rely on poor quality leftovers. Your frustration deepens knowing the harvest could feed your village if distributed fairly. Health experts warn that prolonged hunger in childhood has lasting consequences for growth and development. The system rewards export profits but leaves behind vulnerable families invisible to its priorities. The crops grow tall under the sun, but the children at home grow thin and quiet. Many feel their struggles are unseen by those who hold power and steer food policy. You carry a quiet shame watching your family survive on scraps while the country exports its bounty. How can a land that grows plenty let its own children go hungry? This paradox reflects a food system designed for dollars over daily nourishment.